This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, cat lovers. This is Michelle Fern, your host on Cattitude on Pet Life Radio. I have a great show today. We're going to talk to a screenwriter and producer of this great short film. And, well, I don't want to give it away, but of course it's about a cat. Actually, a couple cats. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Kitty Poo Club reinvented the litter box. No more scrubbing that stinky plastic tray. Or worrying, oh my God, do my guests smell that? No cleaning, no scrubbing, no more stink. You are going to love it. Your cats are going to love it. Go to kittypooclub.com and when you order, save 30% on your first auto ship. Visit kittypooclub.com, use code MEOW30 at checkout, and join the club, the Kitty Poo Club.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Ross Hewett. He's a screenwriter and producer of the short film, Kris the Cat. Welcome, Ross.
Thank you.
A lot more hats than just screenwriter and producer. You've done a wealth of things. Can you share your background with our audience?
Sure. Well, my day job was being a doctor for 40 years, but my passion has always been in storytelling, and it was primarily in theater. And then I got into short story writing and flash fiction. And from there, I made the leap to screenwriting for the first time and movie production, which was quite exciting and quite challenging. And now I'm doing all kinds of things like that. So it's really an exciting time in my life for me.
I'm so glad to hear that. And it's funny how you introduced yourself. Oh, my day job, I was a doctor. Yeah, that's all. Great history with a lot of things that you've done. Let's talk about Kris the Cat. What is Kris the Cat based on? Tell our audience, we'll go more into detail as the show goes on, but what is it based on? What's it about? So all of our listeners know.
So Kris the Cat is kind of my take on, or kind of my sequel on a old Icelandic folktale involving a king in Iceland that had a very bad rat problem and he did not know how to solve it. And he put out word across the kingdom he needed help. And so a farmer, a commoner, came forth and said, I can solve your problem. I'm going to give you a cat. And of course, the cat solved the problem. And the king was so happy. He said, well, you can have either any castle or land or farm that you want, or you can marry my daughter. And so the commoner thought about it and he said, I'll take the daughter, because eventually he became king himself. And I think it's a wonderful kind of Scandinavian story about practicality and common sense. But as I heard the story, I thought, well, what happened to the cat? And that is how I got the inspiration to write Kris the Cat. So Kris the Cat is the story of what happened to the cat after, once he was introduced to the castle.
I love that. Now, obviously, if you're focusing on the cat, there had to have been some cats currently in your past. So did you grow up with cats?
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy. How many? Oh, yes.
13.
All at once?
Well, we started out, my mother took in strays from the neighborhood. I grew up in the Bronx in New York City. And so as a little boy, I think we had 3 cats then. Our first cat, the oldest cat, her name was Jenny. And she was a huge tabby cat. She She had to have weighed 40 pounds. She was huge.
40?
40. She was huge. And I'm not talking wide. I'm talking long. She was bigger than a medium-sized dog. So that was my favorite cat.
That's what might be a record because I've never.
I mean, she was
pretty big.
She was absolutely huge. And so my mother took in a few more strays. So we went from 3 to 5 to 7 by the time I was, 7, 8 years old. And then the last 2 that my mother took in, she didn't have time to get them spayed. And next thing you know, they taught us all about the birds and the bees on our TV set. And they had a litter of 6 kittens, and we kept all 6. So we went from 7 to 13 overnight. And my parents had a huge king-size bed, and all the cats, except for one, Sissy, who used to sleep under the bed. She was a scaredy cat. But the rest of them all slept with my mother and father, the other 12.
Suffice to say, you really know cats.
Oh, I love and adore cats. And yes, I really know them. And one of the things, of course, that I love about cats, and it comes out in the film, is their curiosity. And cats love to explore, and they love to see what's going on and how does this work and how does this smell, and they just love checking out their environment. And so Kris, in the process of catching a mouse, ends up lost out in the woods away from the castle, and he goes on his own little adventure.
Kris the Cat is for all ages, but since it's animated, usually not all animated films, but usually by nature animated are geared a little bit towards children. What do you hope that children take away from this? Well, adults too.
Well, I guess my big thing is never giving up hope and taking risk. So Kris learns a lot of lessons as he goes on this adventure, and he's true to himself in discovering his curiosity and learning new things and seeing new things that he had never seen before. And then he's rescued or found by a little girl and her father, and they take him back to live in their farmhouse. And he's there for several days, and he ends up meeting another cat. And this was one of the things that Kris really wanted, was to meet and know other cats, because he was the only cat in the castle. And so he felt a little lonely as a result of that. So he ends up meeting a cat who turns out to be a girl cat. And her name is Freya, and she's named after one of the Norse gods. And they don't get along at first, but they slowly warm up to each other and become friends. And eventually, though, the castle, in the form of the queen's head of household, comes calling and finds Kris at the cottage. And Kris and Freya end up going back to the castle together.
A charming story. We're going to take a short break, and I have some more questions for you when we get back. We'll be right back.
Kitty Poo Club reinvented the litter box. No more scrubbing that stinky plastic tray or worrying, oh my God, do my guests smell that? Kitty Poo Club has solved the stink. And now the worst part of cat ownership is hassle-free. No cleaning, no scrubbing, no more stink. And the best thing is, you don't have to buy some oversized contraption that will break down. Kitty Poo Club litter boxes are manufactured to make your life easier. You have one cat? Easy peasy. A small mountain lion? No problem. You are going to love it. Your cats are going to love it. Believe me, there are good reasons why we sold over 3 million boxes. Go to kittypooclub.com, read the amazing reviews, and when you order, save 30% on your first auto ship. Visit kittypooclub.com, use code MEOW30 at checkout, and join the club. the Kitty Poo Club.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Ross Hewett. He's the screenwriter and producer of Kris the Cat, which is an animated short film. So, Ross, I almost called you Kris also. Blaming on the heat. Okay. So, one of the things when I was looking at the information on the film, you said that you believe cats are the perfect protagonists in storytelling. Why would you say this?
Well, they're smart. They're problem solvers. They are, as I said, curious. They take risks. They kind of know how to take care of themselves. There's a certain independence to cats that I think is very admirable. And those are all really strong qualities that I think most humans would like to aspire to.
Absolutely. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, okay, cats and storytelling. What can I think of? Of course, what goes in my head right away, and this will kind of age me, but Puss in Boots. I mean, it wasn't about him, but still. And what about the Cat in the Hat? And I love dogs too, although this is Cattitude, but you don't have like Dog and the Cat, or I couldn't think of any dog storytellers right off the top of my head, but I went right away to a couple of cat storytellers.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like, well, I remember Mighty Dog cartoons, but dogs get depicted as parts of the family who are there to help save the family. So dogs get kind of presented as heroes, but cats don't. Cats are their own thing, right? And that's what we love about them. And so you're right, it's very different. But in the case of the Icelandic folktale, the cat was the solution. And I also thought that growing up, I mean, I grew up as a city kid, so we didn't have we had house cats. Our cats did not go outside. They weren't mousers. They didn't do those kinds of things. But of course, country cats do that. And cats as a species are some of the most successful hunters on the planet, having adapted themselves, right, to all different climates and environments. So that's the versatility and the flexibility and the adaptability of cats that always impress me. And I think for that reason, they do make good protagonists as stories, because they often create their own stories.
Thank you. Your film is, Kris the Cat, the castle needs to get rid of their mice. That is the first job, or that's when cats became useful and became more popular way back when. I mean, that's what they were used for. They were used on boats, right? Ships, yes. I should say ships.
Yes.
Yes. Mice. That was their job. And, I've had historians on Cattitude many shows ago. We were talking about this, and they were given a task and a job. And I think that's how they even came to our country, the US. And it's interesting how they hunt their prey. I wasn't able to see all of Kris the Cat, but how does he end up solving the mouse problem? Can you give us a little teaser?
It's one of the kind of adult jokes in the film, but he plays with them first. He plays with his prey before they die. And so it ends up kind of being an adult joke, which goes right over the kids' heads when I've sat in audiences where families are watching the film. But the adults get a good chuckle out of that particular joke. But he knows the entire castle. He knows every nook and every cranny.
Why do you think cats are always depicted as, not always, but a lot of times cat are depicted as, mystical, but also there's negatives, that they're hard to understand, that they're, I don't even want to say the word, but like in some places they're thought of as evil and all of this. There's a lot of negativity. What are your hopes with Kris the Cat that maybe somehow become, a mind changer for some people out there viewing Kris the Cat?
Well, I think Kris the Cat is just an example of a good creature contributing his worth and living his life and having some fun and being willing to meet new people and take risks and make friends. And to me, it's a very positive portrayal of cats. So in that sense, I'm very proud of it.
And so do you think it'll debunk some of these old myths about cats?
Well, I think you'd have to address those myths directly, like the idea that you have to keep the cat away from the baby because it'll steal the baby's breath. Crazy old wives' tales like that. So no, I don't think it does that. And black cats, at Halloween, they're all over the place, right? So
I've done shows on that, upon shows on that, every Halloween, and with actually cat behaviorist Pam Johnson Bennett. But we've done shows on this because we both are a little annoyed about the black cat. It's crazy. I mean, black dogs get it too, but black cats, they're always depicted in, of course, Halloween.
Right, because they're witches' companions. So
there's some witches out there. So, hey,
Yeah, they assist the witches in casting their magical spells or whatever. But I think it's a very positive portrayal of a cat as a protagonist. And so for that reason, I was thrilled to be able to get it to realization as a real film.
You have a good cast. Are any of your cast members cat lovers? I mean, I know they're doing the voice, but...
Oh, definitely. Definitely they are. A couple of them have cats as pets, and we used human actors to voice the two cats with their meowing. I felt that was important. And I will tell a brief funny story because one of the actress who plays Freya, she was practicing meowing in her apartment in New York for a week. And she thought her neighbors must have thought she was absolutely crazy. But she just really wanted to get it right so that when we got into the recording studio, she could nail it. And she really does.
That's funny. I've meowed at my cat before. Sometimes they look at me like, what are you, crazy? But sometimes I've shocked them.
Yes. And so have I. And I think cats, they like the fact that you're listening to them, You're listening to them. When you meow back to them, that means they know you're listening.
Yes. And I also, I've gleaned so much from my guests over the years. I have heard that cats meow to communicate to humans. They don't really meow with each other. They'll do other types of movements, but they really, when they're meowing, they want to communicate with us two-leggeds. So,
yes.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I guess, well, I've had guests before that have had conversations with cats. I don't know if they're meowing or just like kind of reading the cat, but it makes for interesting conversation. That's for sure. I have three right
It's fun to have a vocal cat unless they do it all day long, and then it can drive you nuts.
Well, none of them are, nothing wrong with this, but none of them are Siamese, which I've heard are the most talkative. So all of mine are strays. One actually just hisses at me. Doesn't he just hisses. Not my partner. He's fine with her. Me, I just go near her, food, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's like, that hiss, that.
Yes.
And so I just hiss back. So we're communicating at least, right?
Exactly.
The other ones, well, Molly talks to my husband, that they have conversations. So she meows and tells him, come out, play with me. And or so he says. Maybe he just wants to get out of working. Who knows? All right, let's talk about where can people watch Kris the Cat?
Well, viewing options are available through the website, which is Kris with a K, Kris, KrisTheCat.net. And that's the website for the film. And there you can either rent the film or you can purchase it. And it's very inexpensive. And the film is just under 14 minutes long.
Well, I wish you a lot of success with Kris the Cat. And thank you for coming on Cattitude.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hope you all enjoyed that. Please be sure to check out kristhecat.net. It's a great animated short film for all ages. I want to thank my cats that sat with me when I was viewing Kris the Cat. I watched most of it until Molly decided she had enough and wanted me to play. But you be sure to watch it. Again, it's kristhecat.net. And thanks to my cat crew, Molly, Charlotte, and Dennis. And of course, thanks to Mr. Nicky for letting me watch with the cats. And thanks to everyone listening to Cattitude. I appreciate your listening-ship so much. Thanks for being with me all throughout the years. I appreciate it. And we have some great stuff coming up. And of course, thanks to my wonderful producer, Mark Winter, because this podcast would not be the same without him. So thank you so much. And of course, thanks to my guest, Ross Hewett, for coming on Cattitude. And hey, remember, lose the attitude, have Cattitude.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.